Good day, learner! Welcome to a new episode of La Union Schools Division TeACh Explainer video. I'm Mr. Reggie P. Taktay, your teacher explainer.
We are going to focus with Science 9, Quarter 3, Week 2, Module number 2, entitled Volcano Eruption. At the end of this explainer video, you can be able to explain what happens when volcanoes erupt. Specifically, you can be able to identify the causes, indicators, and effects of volcano eruption, explain what happens when volcanoes erupt, create an awareness campaign among your townmates about volcanic hazards before, during, and after a volcanic eruption. What causes a volcano to erupt? There are various factors why volcano erupt. There are three predominant causes. Number 1, buoyancy of the magma. Number 2, pressure from the dissolved gases in the magma. And number 3, injection of new batch of magma into an already filled magma chamber. Let's start with the buoyancy of the magma. If we say buoyancy, it is the force that causes objects to float. As rock inside the earth melts, its mass remains the same while its volume increases, producing a melt that is less dense than the surrounding rock. The lighter magma then rises towards the surface by virtue of buoyancy. If the density of the magma between the zone of its generation and the surface is less than of the surrounding and overlying rocks, the magma reaches the surface and erupts. Second, pressure from the dissolved gases in the magma. Magmas of so-called andesitic and rhyolitic compositions contain dissolved volatiles such as water, sulfur dioxide, and carbon dioxide. The amount of dissolved gas in magma, its solubility at atmospheric pressure is 0, but rises with increasing pressure. Third, injection of new batch of magma into an already filled magma chamber. The injection forces some of the magma in the chamber to move up in the conduit and erupt at the surface. What happens when a volcano erupts? We are going to understand exactly what happens when a volcano erupts, looking at both the direct hazards and the indirect hazards. Let's start with direct hazard. Phreatic explosions, explosive disruptions generating ballistics and ash clouds. Fallout, magma and rock fragments transported into the atmosphere by eruption clouds deposited as individual particles. Ballistics, particles ejected directly from the vent during explosive phases. Volcanic gases, magmatic gases like carbon dioxide, sulfur, nitrogen, argon, and helium that mix with the air. Pyroclastic density currents or PDCs, magma and rock fragments deposited in mass which can be dilute or dense descending the sides of the volcano. Lahars, slurry of pyroclast, volcanic fragments, rock debris, and water that originates on the slopes of volcanoes during eruptive activity. Lava flows, non-fragmented magma, a mixture of molten or semi-molten rock. Debris avalanches, rock falls and rock slides which can move rapidly downslope and can originate immediately before, during, and after an eruption. Floods, stream flows triggered by heavy rainfall and other post-eruption effects. Let's proceed now to the indirect hazards. Earthquakes, ground shaking and movements caused by seismic shocks of magnitude usually greater than 5. Tsunamis, wave generated by sudden displacement of water, caused by volcanic explosions, earthquakes, debris avalanches, lahars, or pyroclastic flows entering water bodies. Atmospheric effects, local changes of atmospheric dynamics caused by ash particles and gases entering the atmosphere surrounding the volcano. Climatic effects, regional to global effects on climate caused by aerosols, which are formed by the injection of volcanic gases and ash particles in the high atmosphere. Aircraft encounters with volcanic ash, ingestion of silicate ash into the aircraft's jet engines when operating in volcanic ash clouds. Ash ingestion degrades the engine performance. causing engine flameout and loss of power, famine and diseases, destruction of food supply by the immediate loss of livestock and crops, and the longer-term loss of agricultural productivity of farmlands buried by eruptive materials. After a volcano erupts, what effects does it have on the local area? There are two, the negative effects and the positive effects. Let's start with negative effects. Extremely hot lava can cause burning through towns and farmland. Ash can cause breathing problems, create travel disruptions as it lowers the visibility for pilots. Positive effects. Eruption created a spectacular scenery on its wake like Mount Pinatubo. Eruption produced very rich soils for farming like Musuan volcano eruption, and ashfall were used in making earthenware. Agreement. Do not forget to submit your Science 9 Quarter 3 Module 2 answer sheets or output through your Google Classroom.
We're done! It's now time for you to do the activities in your self-learning modules. Always remember, continue embracing the new normal way of learning. Once again, I'm Mr. Reggie P. Taktay, your teacher explainer.